Hello, 2021, and welcome to another episode of
Fantastically Terrible Podcast.
Today we're going to talk about some things we want to do for 2021.
Wait. Goodbye, 2020.
You suck!
You suck. Yes, continue.
Eat my dust.
Yes, continue.
Special note to 2021. 2020, to be honest, didn't go all that well. We ask you to be kind. We ask you to be gentle. We will do our part, and we hope that you will do yours.
You know it's not going to do any of that.
It's a special message to 2021.
Special message to 2021. You know what 2021 is going to say?
What?
Buckle up! Buckle up, bucko!
Maybe 2021 does not sound like a New York gangster.
It does.
Oh my god.
All years sound like a gangster from New York.
Here's hoping 2021 is gentle and kind in a rejuvenating spirit.
I love your optimism.
Here's to all of us doing well.
Doing the best we can.
Well, as we have our cheese and crackers and drink our kava, we are contemplating things that we want to do for the new year. And much of what we want to do entails promoting our work, trying to get out there, trying to do more of everything, basically.
Yep.
And letting other people know that we're doing it.
Yes.
Isn't that the essence? And let me show you what we're doing.
And please pay attention to us while we're doing it. Because we need help.
I will edit that out.
No, you won't. Because it's hilarious.
The one thing we do as a tradition every year is we binge watch Twilight Zone.
No, I love Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone's like the bomb. It's like modern American mythology.
Twilight Zone is a smack in your face for everything. For good writing, for good acting, good cinematography. I'm saying good, but I really mean great. The best of what I hope to achieve with Ghost Metal, which is our sci-fi horror anthology that we have on Webtoon, which is free. I really like that idea of adding all of these odd worlds and odd stories and making each one really memorable and different from the last.
Absolutely. Can I sound like a New York gangster?
Go ahead.
I imagine my dog talks like this. It's like, take me out, you humans.
We have a almost 4-month-old puppy, and that's the voice that Miguel gives her puppy.
She likes cigarettes. She likes to eat them.
If anyone has dogs, please let us know. Do your dogs like eating the cigarette butts? And we live in France, and unfortunately, there is an abundance of them on the side of the road or on the side of the sidewalk. And we have to constantly, with vigilance.
I like to imagine she says to us, I can't cut my habit. I love my cigarette butts.
She literally pooped out 2 cigarette butts once in one poop sitting.
Yeah. She likes her cigarettes. So
we're trying to cut her habit, and we're constantly pulling on her poor little leash every time there's a cigarette butt on the floor. Like, no, don't
it's
eat
not
it.
my fault. It's tasty.
Oh my God, it's nicotine. I love it. So if you do have dogs that like to eat leftover cigarettes, please let us know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just our dog.
I just hope it's a phase. It's a phase. I need to eat cigarettes.
It's an entry drug.
Yeah, so looking forward to the next year. Watching some Twilight Zone. Reading some Spider-Man.
Yes, I noticed that. You picked up... You're reading... This is how strange our household is. You are reading at the same time, which you often do, read multiple books. Who is it? Is it Steve Ditko's?
Spider-Man. Best Spider-Man ever.
And The Deficit Myth by Stephanie Kelton.
Yeah.
These are the 2 books he's reading at the same time.
At the same time.
And this is why our podcast is Fantastically Terrible.
Fantastically Terrible.
And our range of subjects is so ridiculously opposite.
Yes. It's pretty strange.
For modern monetary theory, Silver Age comics.
I love Spider-Man. I just wonder if they're going to have platinum. It's the platinum age.
Well, the modern age was like the 90s. So what are we in now? 2021.
We're in the
Postmodern
age, the neurotic age.
Ooh.
Neurotic age comics.
Well, in New York, because we lived there for a very long time, it's always the neurotic age.
It's neurotica.
New erotica.
New erotica. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, no, I love the old one because it's like chicken soup for the soul.
We have 2 webtoon comics, and they're free and available on our website.
Yes.
One is Ghost Metal, which is really cool for us because it's an anthology with short stories.
Yeah.
So, like I mentioned, a lot like Twilight Zone, where sometimes there's 6 episodes, sometimes 3 episodes, sometimes more. And they're new worlds, new characters, and it's fun for us because it's always different and we don't have to post the same story and the same characters over and over again.
Right.
And then we have our comedy, slapstick comedy, Wolf Boy and the Magical Warriors. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of fun, actually. It's totally the opposite. I've had comments like, wow, these are really different. If you do horror, you need some comedy. You almost need the 2 to balance each other out. But for other people, they think it's crazy.
You do need something that you just kind of just laugh.
Absolutely.
You need to chill out.
So that's why I noticed that you like drawing that. If you just draw something sad, you like drawing something funny. You like doing both to let off steam.
Yeah, it kind of counterbalances.
Yeah, you can't live in Disney World all year, and you can't live in John Carpenter's The Thing all year round.
I wish I could.
All year? You can jump between
6
the 2.
months and 6 months.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because life is very serious, and you need laughs.
It's bittersweet.
But too much exactly. Oh my God, it's bittersweet.
Bittersweet.
That's the one.
Okay, so what did you got for us? We're talking about books and improvement.
Well, we were mentioning before that you're reading the old
Steve Ditko's Spider-Man.
Yeah. And that's an actually excellent way of motivating, rejuvenating yourself, and looking for things that you can use. We're looking at this episode from an artistic point of view. Just like when you watch something, look at the lighting, look at the frames. Mm-hmm. Why do you like what you're reading or what you're watching? Speaking of books, let's recommend some books that you find helpful for improving art.
Okay.
I'll mention a few that I know that you like. And you can tell me why you like them.
All right.
Okay? And one is the Force series.
Yes.
By Mike Matesi.
Mike Matesi. Awesome. Why? Simple. You're hearing, listen.
I'm listening. My ears are open.
Your ears are open.
Plugs
okay.
are out.
The simple reason is that he teaches you to look at things and to exaggerate properly. Mm-hmm. He gets you to actually push your drawings beyond just them being simply like you're looking and recording. You're trying to feel those drawings and take that feeling and transfer it to the paper. Yeah, infuse it into into your paper. So you're drawing it and you're giving it more emphasis, you know. So he's getting you to push and exaggerate well.
And what are some of his bona fides, Mike Matesi?
He's actually taught a lot of the animators on how to do that.
Right, at Disney.
At Disney, Pixar, places like that. So he actually created this whole book series to then get the rest of us out there who are not privy to being part of Disney or Pixar to be able to do the same. And I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's important not just to learn anatomy, but once you got that, how to exaggerate it.
Yeah. See, one of the things that I always feel, and this is something that's very personal to me, other artists are different, but I always felt that comics and animation are closer than comics and film. And the reason I say that is because the 2 godfathers, whether you're talking about Winsor McCay, who is the person who drew Little Nemo, and you look at his comics, it's very animated, but he's also the person who drew that animation of the Gertie the dinosaur. And then you look at Tezuka. Tezuka is the same thing, both anime and manga. So I find that sometimes a lot of the solutions to the answers that we as comic book artists have are to be found in animation. Of course, we're fortunate we don't have to have 1,000 of these different little frames for 180 seconds, but there's a lot of things that we share in common.
What do you think is similar to animation?
What is similar to animation?
More similar? Because obviously you're dealing with frames per second. you're dealing with good composition, you're dealing with timing, whether
Right.
it's film, animation, or comic books. But why do you think animation is more tightly related? More
Like it's a
closely?
cousin.
Yeah,
And I think that because ultimately, one, you have to draw everything.
exactly. That's true.
Two, you're dealing with the problem of creating expression with two-dimensional drawings. When you're dealing with actual real subjects, those micro expressions that we deal with day in, day out, we will see those on film.
Yeah, they'll just be on the actors'
Right.
faces.
We don't have that as animators and cartoonists. We have to overcome that by exaggerating it.
Right, right. Yeah.
And I actually remember once I was waiting in line to get my stuff signed by Will Eisner.
That's right. You got to meet Will.
I got to meet Will. Great guy.
The Mr. Eisner.
Will Eisner. And there was this guy who was also a film major, because I was a film major. You know, I was trying to argue with Will that comics and film are the same. He's like, Will
Why
was
would
like,
someone argue with... I don't understand how
People
people
do
get
these
so
things.
full of themselves, and I hear them. It's amazing to me. I would never argue with someone who
knew his craft?
knew his craft, was older, his whole career was that. Who am I to say anything to this man?
Well, Will set him straight, and he signed his stuff. And the guy actually wanted him to draw a sketch, and he's like, I don't do that. But classy guy. But I was sitting back and I was listening to a lot of his points, and he had really good fair points.
Such as?
You can't zoom in. You can't rotate the camera around. I mean, you have to kind of create, if you're going to do it, you're going to have to create the illusion of it, frame to frame. You have one box which it's locked in film, whereas with comic books, you have all these series of frames that you can look at all at once if you're the reader and the viewer. So the other thing is too, film is passive. You can sit back and just watch a movie. With comics, it's participatory by the viewer. The viewer has to actually sit there.
There's reading involved. People
There's
forget
reading
that.
involved.
It's not just pictures, it's words, so which is why they call it, like Will called it a graphic novel.
Right.
Because it has elements of both. It's visual and
your brain fills in the gaps in between. The panels too. So it's more active. So I sat back and actually thought it was pretty interesting. It was many years ago. I sort of absorbed a lot of what he was saying, and I was, kind of thankful.
Those books, we can jump to his books. He has a series on expressive anatomy. Mr.
That's right.
Eisner. And what are some of the things you really found helpful in his books?
It was excellent. It was the last book he was working on before he passed away. So he didn't get to fully complete it himself. It was his assistant that was working with him. But his whole premise is that too much, he said, there's wonderful illustrators out there illustrating comics. But he said a lot of them are very stiff and they're not communicating the most important thing, the essence of comics, which is body language. You should be able to look at a panel and be able to understand from the body language what's going on. What's the person telling you? What are they feeling? And for me, that's everything. Expression is everything.
And that really is him.
Right.
He had amazing composition. I don't think anyone's ever matched him for page composition and creativity.
No one has come close to touching him.
His expressions, everything was just right.
Yeah, it was just beautiful. If you were to ask me what's more important, expression or anatomy, I would always say expression.
Yeah, I agree. Like, as a reader, if the story is good, you can have stick figures.
Yeah.
If the art is excellent, but the story's mediocre, I'll stop reading it.
Right.
I'll just think, wow, really awesome art, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But a story, it's still a book. A comic, number one, is not just superheroes.
Right.
It's just another book. It could be about anything. And if it's about anything, the emphasis is on the story.
It's a medium.
That's right.
Well, that's why I'm with a lot of the stuff that we make, my art style, is always dictated by the story.
Right. That's one thing I actually find quite amazing about you. Every story we do, you have a different art style for it.
Yeah, shucks. Anyway, yes.
It is. I don't see most other artists I see draw the same style. It's their style, which is cool. But I don't see people drawing the way you do. You draw manga, you draw American classic comics, you draw Golden Age, Silver Age, you draw awesome, like European style if we're looking at a Blueberry or something.
So for me, it's essence and spirit, and tone. if you want to get all writer about it, right? So it's taken many years to do that, but I'm able to phase in and out of it should I choose to, and I love doing it. Now, the other book that I really like is the Drawn to Life series by Walt Stanchfield, which kind of ties in with Will Eisner's Expressive Anatomy. Why? Well, first of all, Stanchfield worked for Disney. And if you've watched the amazing Sleepy Hollow, he worked on that. And his whole thing was, again, he would get a lot of animators that would come in, could do all this beautiful anatomy, and he's like, you guys are getting it all accurate, but your drawings and your gestures are stiff.
Right.
You can't do that when you're doing animation. You have to be able to express and communicate to the audience. But he gets you through his series of lectures that was published. It's 2 volumes of lectures. And he changed my whole outlook on how to approach what I really wanted to do. Force might have given me the ability to get exaggeration. Will Eisner kind of gave me the understanding that, yes, it's a body language thing, but Walt delivered. Will pointed out that there's an over-obsession of being able to render. Suriyama, very famous for his cover of the Aerosmith, the robotic lady.
Yeah, he's fantastic at doing those
metal,
high metal,
all sorts of stuff.
Reflective
he had
surfaces.
one thing he always used to say: do not get intoxicated in your technique.
Coming from him, because he's he's very known for his technique.
That always stuck in my head, is don't get it too intoxicated with it. So there's a certain essence and certain core that you have to hit.
It's human nature. You do something well, and then you start getting a little afraid to try something different.
And that's when you have to.
That's when you have to.
That's when you have to.
And you do have to force yourself sometimes.
Yep.
And that's when sketching is important.
Yep.
To loosen you up, loosen up your mind and your hands.
My sketchbook is where I go to lick my wound.
I could be wrong, but I noticed that you do not really like using rulers and being very structured with your drawings.
I absolutely hate it.
So there's
but
one
I will
series,
say,
right?
Mangus Clip Studio Art has helped me. The rulers on that for perspective and stuff has made it a joy.
You're making me think of 2 books. One is the Sketching series.
Yes.
And it's by Eisen and Stuer. I'm not sure how to say her name, but I'll have links to all of this on our website.
Or his name, I don't know.
And this one helped you with...
It taught me how to sketch more for industrial, and believe me, I haven't talked about it, but I have done some industrial drawing. It allows you to be able to get product design, whether you're talking about cars.
Because a lot of people are the same, and they feel the same way about being too structured. So this is actually a good book to teach tips on how to do mechanical drawings.
Right. And plus,
freehand.
If you can draw figures and you're going to have stuff where the figures are using stuff, you want to make it look solid. You want to make it look believable.
Right. And I know that you like using that for inks.
Yes.
And there is a book called Ink.
Yes.
What were some of the benefits of reading Ink?
Ink, nothing to do with expression on that stuff. It's panel composition, some inking tips, but mostly on how to deal with your storytelling. A lot more cinematic and lighting.
Okay, so it was with cinematography,
lighting,
improving your lighting,
the whole thing. There's one thing that's actually I find very lacking from the comic book industry. When I was a film student, one thing that we would sit around and we would talk about, hey man, you gotta see this sequence. This is freaking nuts, man. Hey, let's sit down and watch. There is a conversation with comic book artists where we talk about, oh, look how they did the striation on this arm, right? But we're a storytelling medium.
Yeah, right.
And we
I hear a lot, oh, look at this splash page.
Yeah, it's like...
I think one skill that is needed is, so not just composition, because you can...
ties into it.
It ties into it, but it's not just with each frame. It's the whole page.
Yeah.
And then the whole story.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to steal the word cinematography.
Yeah. So then
you can have a well-composed panel, but it needs to be part of a sequence, and that sequence is part of a book.
Yeah, and it's how do you move the camera and stuff. Okay. So you need to know where the camera is. Yeah. You're the director, where your figures are. If you cross the camera over and all these other sort of errors that most people who...
Yes, continuity
issues, all those things. And this is something that's lacking. We need to be talking about sequence.
Yeah.
Like when I look at Samura, who's one of my all-time favorite manga artists, Blade of the Immortal.
Yeah, I know you love Blade.
And when I look at a sequence, I'm like, wow.
I know.
When
He's
I look
so
at
good.
Corto Maltese,
Yeah.
I look at sequence.
Hugo Pratt.
Hugo Pratt, because we're telling stories.
Right.
Write that down in your book.
I'll write that down in my book right now. Making notes right now.
talk
You
like
said
dancers.
camera angles, continuity, composition.
Yes.
Like if you need to jumpstart your artwork or your story, it could just be that.
You know what? I always think I'm not good enough. I constantly question myself.
You're crazy.
But I have this inner drive of like, I'm going to be better next time. And I think that's what's kind of needs to be given or understood.
Right.
I suck now. I'll suck less tomorrow. Okay.
Words to live
And that's
by.
just
I'm gonna
my
put
philosophy.
that on a t-shirt. I'll suck less tomorrow.
I'll suck less tomorrow.
All right.
So that's just the way I approach it. And I think can't be scared.
Jump in with both feet.
I mean, what do you got to lose? Someone's going to say you stink. All right, but you tried it. Maybe they didn't try it.
Well, there are always going to be people who are jerks.
That's just life.
But there'll be people who appreciate what you do too.
Yes.
We're
Right.
not that great at promoting things.
No.
It is. I appreciate
Because
all
I
the
think I suck.
I think we appreciate, especially as we get older, all of the different rules that are necessary in order to be successful.
Yes.
Nobody can do it on their own.
No,
you
nobody
need
can.
so many things.
And you know, this is another thing too. It's all about your connections with other people. I think that there is this mythology that centers around the self-made person. That's
Right.
impossible.
Right.
Even the Unabomber needed the U.S. Postal Service, right?
What a strange example. But yeah.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, like, there's this.
Even the Unabomber needed help.
There's this guy. He's just sending mail. Well, how is he delivering this mail?
Even Amazon needs the highways that were built by public funds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we need each other.
No matter how lucky you have been in getting recognized early, getting success early on, you had people who took a chance.
Yeah.
You had people that looked at things. I'm sure one person passed it to another person. All of that was very kind acts from people who didn't need to take a risk, who did.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it's someone who's putting their neck out for
Honey,
you.
I strive to be black market worthy one day.
I guess that's a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm good enough to be ripped off.
Yeah. You mean have your own like action figures that are knockoff Chinese
Wow,
versions?
look at this.
Dog
You mean
Boy.
Crappy versions of instead of Wolf Boy, they have Dog Boy.
Dog Boy. Ape King.
Ape King instead of Monkey King. Well, Monkey King is not our creation. We
No,
just
it's
gave
not.
him our own version of a personality.
Right.
We're talking about our comic series, Wolf Boy and the Magical Warriors. 2020, if we go back to the changing of the year, a lot of people are at home, working from home, hopefully not, unemployed perhaps, or really struggling. And you really need the support of other people.
Yeah.
Even if it's online, even if it's likes, even if it's sharing things. If you think something is good, just share it. It's free. Just do it. Help somebody out.
Even if you just need a hug.
I don't think a virtual hug.
A virtual hug. Yeah. You need a community. There's no way around it.
Yeah. We were part of a really fun group, or you were in Indie
Comic Team Up.
Which was part of the Indie Comic Union. We put in our covers other people's characters. So you have other people drawing your characters, you're drawing other people's characters. It was really fun. Miguel, you did a great job.
Oh, thank you.
And other people were kind enough to include our characters in their covers.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
And there's no money in it, but it's fun to meet people who are doing the same thing, and we're all liking each other's work now and supporting each other, and it's good. It just widens your circle. So many people are in the same boat now in 2020.
Yeah. Well, it's no longer 2020. It's 2021. Take that back.
Amen. Amen. Hallelujah. It's 2021. But we're all interesting, a little closer together now. And I think if we all help each other out in small ways, it will really improve things for people.
Yeah, I would say my art is my connection to my inner self. To sort of cleave that out is like cleaving out my inner self. You feel sad because there's a pressure out there that what you do needs to have monetary value. And if it doesn't have a monetary value, why are you doing it?
It's true. It's two things. People have to separate those two. Yes, you need to make money. Let's be realistic here. You need to make money to live, but that's different from what you want to do with your time.
Right.
And wouldn't it be fantastic if what you love to do is what you get paid to do?
Hey.
It doesn't always work out.
No.
Or it takes a long time for that to work out.
Yeah.
Just do both.
Yeah.
Just because your art doesn't make money, it doesn't mean it's worthless.
Right.
That's crazy.
I like
Never
to put it this
think like
way.
that.
Most of the artists that you see in the museum,
We're
a
broke.
lot of them didn't make money from it.
Right.
And I'll put it even more into more perspective. Today we're in such a medium with the internet that people have probably, that are alive with you, have seen your art more than when those guys were alive, like
Yeah,
Van
that's a
Gogh,
great point.
who was sitting in his cottage
Right.
and had maybe 3 people see it.
Right.
So it's all a matter of perspective, and
Yeah, they didn't stop doing their art because people weren't seeing it.
enjoy what you enjoy and do what you do and do as the
Maybe
best you can.
that's a good lesson for 2021. And also, don't be unrealistic and think that just because you love doing something, it's going to pay the bills.
Right.
That's not the case. If you can maintain a job and still do artwork, do that until you're financially secure.
Just do your best you can. And build community. I think the community, there was a whole article talking about how artists become famous through their friends. If you're feeling down about your art, look at your art honestly. Tell yourself, what are the things you need to work on your art to make it better, where you want it to be? Then, once you sort of narrow it down to that, work on that.
And if you're not sure what it is, what do you love to read? What makes you love it?
Right.
Is it the story? Is it the characters? I mean, of course, it could be a combination of things. But really, as a professional, as an artist, analyze it. Do I love the pacing? Do I love the lighting? Do I love the mood that they set?
Right.
Really analyze why you love your favorite artist.
Because I don't like the idea of something just being raw talent.
Yeah, that's a great point. Two things there. You're born with it.
Yeah.
And talent will get noticed and you'll get paid.
Right.
You'll be successful and rich.
I like to say it's the difference between the
It's
kung fu fighter
brainwashing.
and the superhero. The superhero, you get bitten by something. God knows
Instant
I love
powers.
Spider-Man. Instant powers. The kung fu fighter has to work his tiny little butt off before he becomes, this awesome fighter.
Right.
So
You have to go through the training. It's like, stop. I was going to sound very New York. Stop all your whining and just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Well, you can whine and do it too. That's
Whine
a very
while
New
you're
York
doing
thing.
it.
That
Be
neurotic.
sarcastic. Put it all into your writing. It makes it better. And now it's time for
The fantastically terrible character or creature.
Today we're going to pay homage to zombies.
Zombies?
Whether they're being shot at, beheaded, or impaled with vinyl LPs, we thank each and every zombie who's forced to moan while walking tragically slow or eat a former friend's intestines. They've kept horror afloat for like 40 years now.
Yeah.
Through comedy, tragedy, multiple languages, it's international.
That's it for today. 7Robots Fantastically Terrible podcast is by Miguel Guerra and Susie Diaz. Our theme song is by Susie.
The best way to support our podcast is to leave a review on iTunes. This helps others to find us, and we can see your name and personally thank you live on the show.
For more information on the episode, including links to everything we referenced, please visit our website at www.7robots.com/podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.